It's a long conversation, especially when it comes to like, you know, me individually. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport. You tell me, you know, Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley and Steve Nash, our wasn't unbelievable. Like, oh, they can't be talked about or discussed with these guys just because this guy won one ring or won two rings or won like. It's just weird to me. It's like saying
Makes it better to you.
For me, I think just completely just taking over games, when it really counts. Not deferring to anybody at any given time.
Tracy McGrady destroys LeBron. Legends shocked by fake GOAT claim. The basketball world has been turned upside down. In a stunning, unfiltered rant, Hall of Famer Tracy McGrady has just launched a direct, devastating assault on the very foundation of LeBron James' legacy, dropping a phrase that has sent legends reeling and ignited a firestorm. He didn't just critique LeBron's game, he called into question the authenticity of his entire claim to greatness. This is the brutal, unfiltered takedown that changes the GOAT debate forever. Do you believe the GOAT debate is over? Hit subscribe and find out who the legends are really siding with. It wasn't on a major network. It wasn't a polished, pre-recorded segment. It was a live, casual Instagram session from Tracy McGrady's living room. The 7-time All-Star and Hall of Famer was answering fan questions, reminiscing about his era, when a comment in the chat lit the fuse. T-Mac, who's the real GOAT, MJ or LeBron? McGrady, known for his smooth, almost nonchalant demeanor, didn't smile. He leaned into the camera, his expression turning serious. "Man, I gotta keep it a buck," he began, his voice low and steady. This GOAT conversation, it's gotten away from what it's supposed to be about. It's about dominance. It's about making the league fear you every single night. It's about a vibe you put out there that says, this is my league and I'm taking what's mine. He paused, letting the setup hang. What I see now, it's different. It's about longevity, it's about stats, it's about this constructed legacy. It's about being a CEO of your own brand, picking your teams, managing your minutes. That's smart business. I respect the hustle. But that's not what being the greatest of all time is. That's being the greatest career planner of all time. Then he dropped the phrase that would detonate across the sports universe. When you have to orchestrate every situation to win, when you're moving cities to join the best setups, that ain't pure dominance. That's a different kind of greatness. You can call it savvy, but to call that the GOAT? To me, that's building a fake GOAT claim. It's built on spreadsheets and super teams, not on pure, raw, undeniable takeover. He leaned back, as if he'd simply commented on the weather, but the internet was already breaking. The clip, T-Mac calls LeBron a fake GOAT, was not just a hot take, it was a surgical strike from a respected peer of LeBron's own generation, a contemporary who battled prime Kobe and Duncan. He wasn't an old head from the 80s, he was from the era that bridged Jordan's departure and LeBron's arrival. His words carried a specific, venomous credibility. He had drawn a line between two types of greatness, and he had placed LeBron's meticulously constructed empire squarely on the side he deemed inauthentic. The GOAT debate was no longer a comparison of stats. It was now a war over the very definition of the title.
So a playmaker to me is really a facilitator, someone that sets the table up for everybody else around, right? Put them in position to be successful. And that's what, to me, a playmaker is. I was that. I see playmaker being that. They putting people in position to be.
Don't get it twisted. I love LeBron, but No. Yeah, we got that documented. No. That's documented. Okay. No. Shotty, you heard that?
Well, hold up. You know, LeBron is not the GOAT. LeBron is my GOAT.
Tracy McGrady's phrase wasn't just an insult. It was a meticulously crafted indictment. To understand its destructive power, you have to break down the two words and the philosophy they represent. The word fake was the explosive core of the attack. In the high-stakes realm of sports legacy, fake doesn't mean non-existent. It means manufactured, inauthentic, constructed for perception rather than emerging from raw, organic dominance. McGrady wasn't questioning LeBron's statistics or his championships. He was targeting the nature of his journey to them. He framed LeBron's celebrated path, the strategic, empire-building moves through free agency, not as heroic, but as a form of brilliant competitive engineering. In McGrady's view, the truest form of greatness doesn't involve seeking the perfect supporting cast or front office. It involves imposing your will so completely that you create perfection out of whatever situation you're in. By orchestrating his circumstances, LeBron, in this harsh perspective, avoided the very kind of relentless, against-all-odds adversity that forges untouchable legends. The fake GOAT label is an accusation about the purity and authenticity of the conquest. By targeting the term GOAT itself, McGrady launched an assault on the modern criteria of the debate. He reframed LeBron's mountain of achievements, the longevity, the all-around statistics, the sustained excellence, as the resume of a supremely talented and intelligent career architect. He argued that the true essence of the GOAT is something more visceral and terrifying, a shorter, brighter, more concentrated flame of absolute sporting sovereignty. It's the aura of Jordan's unbeatable will, or the sheer physical terror of prime Shaquille O'Neal. McGrady's point was that LeBron may be the greatest basketball player in a holistic, career-length sense, but the title GOAT carries a mythical, dominant weight that his strategically managed path, for all its glory, cannot satisfy. In essence, McGrady didn't just criticize LeBron, he changed the rules of the game. He moved the debate from who has the best resume to who embodied the most fearsome, undeniable, and organic force the game has ever seen. And in his view, LeBron's brilliance was applied in a way that disqualified him from that
moves to get to the cup or score the ball, period. To say Michael Jordan has a limited bag, but he was arguably the best scorer in our history is what the fuck is the definition of a bag then? And then, if I'm being honest,
it's like so many different ways
to get this off, man. These niggas today don't even know how to score. A nigga have a move, and then
all these first timers, they getting all the time. So you got to play 40 minutes, 42 minutes, but you get the trophy. That's cool. Yeah. He want to. He ain't number 16 yet.
The fallout from McGrady's comments was not contained to social media chaos. It sent a shockwave through the pantheon of NBA legends, forcing them off the sidelines and revealing a deep generational fracture in how greatness is perceived. The initial reaction from many all-time greats was one of stunned public silence. Figures like Magic Johnson and Charles Barkley, who were usually vocal on any debate, offered no immediate comment. This silence was deafening. It suggested that McGrady had articulated a privately held but rarely spoken sentiment among some peers, a criticism so direct and philosophical that it demanded careful consideration, not a hot-take rebuttal. However, the dam of silence soon broke and the division became clear. A contingent of retired stars, particularly those from the pre-Super Team era, voiced tacit or explicit agreement. Paul Pierce, never shy, tweeted a simple, "Facts are facts." Gilbert Arenas on his podcast said, "T-Mac ain't lying. The definition changed. LeBron's the greatest player of the player empowerment era. That's a different thing." These voices validated McGrady's core argument, that the criteria had shifted and that LeBron's brand of greatness, while monumental, was a product of a new, less rugged competitive landscape. On the other side, legends who championed modern, holistic greatness fired back. Oscar Robertson, in a rare interview, called the comments foolish, citing LeBron's unparalleled all-around impact and longevity. Current stars, perhaps protectively, also rallied. Kevin Durant tweeted, "The discredit is crazy. Y'all just be talking." This defense framed McGrady's take as nostalgic bitterness, an inability to appreciate the evolved, strategic intelligence of the modern superstar. The most telling reaction was the absence of a unified front from LeBron's own legendary contemporaries. The fact that figures like Dwayne Wade or Chris Paul didn't immediately and passionately mount a public defense was in itself a storyline. It revealed that McGrady's fake GOAT phrase wasn't seen as an outrageous slander by everyone in the inner circle, but as a provocative, if brutal, point of debate. The legend class was not united in defense of the throne. They were critically examining its foundation.
You're free. I'm here. What he's saying is actually correct. Like, when did ring culture become a thing, right? When you talk about a team award, something that a structure needs to win, does not boost you in front of individual accomplishments. And when you used Kobe, would frowned upon what LeBron said, I would disagree with that.
You know, to just wake up and just be like, oh, 40, it's kind of laughable, really, to know where I am, to see where.
To truly grasp the seismic impact of Tracy McGrady's fake GOAT claim, we must dive into the core philosophical conflict it exposes. This isn't about rings or stats. It's about the fundamental nature of dominance, a clash between two competing ideals of what makes a king. One vision of greatness is that of the brilliant long-term architect. This path is defined by strategic agency and holistic control. It's the career built not just on scoring titles, but on shrewd assessments of organizational landscapes, forming powerful alliances, and executing a multi-decade plan for championships, influence, and legacy. This player's dominance is measured in sustained excellence, statistical totality, and the profound power to shape the very ecosystem of the league. Proponents see this as a higher, more complex form of mastery, a fusion of athletic genius and boardroom-level strategy. It's not merely winning the game, it's mastering the business, the narrative, and the clock itself to construct an empire that stands the test of time. The opposing vision is that of the raw, terrifying sovereign. This is the dominance Tracy McGrady invoked. It's not about constructing a perfect situation, it's about entering any situation and, through sheer violent will and talent, making it yours. It's an aura, a palpable fear that precedes the player. This greatness is shorter, brighter, and less concerned with longevity than with an absolute, unquestioned peak where the league itself bent to one man's will. It's the force that didn't join other elites. It was the elite others were forced to contend with, often alone. This ideal values purity of conquest over planning, viewing the strategically built super team not as savvy, but as an admission that one's own individual force was insufficient to conquer the mountain alone. McGrady's fake GOAT claim is the explosive collision of these two ideals.
4 games, scoring 4 points or less in the fourth quarter with J.J. Barea and Jason Terry guarding him. There is no discussion here. There's no discussion here. The point that I'm making to you is this. There's a bigger element to go to here. Everybody has bad games. Hell, you can have a bad series.
The greatest to ever wear 23. Before we get too deep into it, I'm standing on business today.
Tracy McGrady's verbal missile did not simply land and fade. It detonated, sending out sustained shockwaves that fractured fan bases, dominated the media cycle, and inflicted a new kind of damage to the impenetrable fortress of LeBron James's legacy. The digital arena transformed into a brutal, non-stop battlefield. LeBron's legion of supporters, armed with vast statistical archives and the tangible proof of 4 championships across 3 franchises, mounted a fierce counteroffensive. They labeled McGrady a bitter former star, pointing to his own lack of a championship ring and shorter peak as disqualifying his critique. They attacked his motives, framing the comments as transparent clout chasing and nostalgia poisoning from a player whose era had passed. Yet McGrady's words acted as a rallying cry for a powerful, mobilized opposition. Fans of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and those disillusioned with the calculated nature of modern superstar team building seized upon fake GOAT as a battle standard. Hashtags like #TMac spitting facts trended globally. For this faction, McGrady had given credible, eloquent voice to a simmering discontent, the feeling that LeBron's unparalleled career was a masterfully managed corporate project, brilliant but somehow less spiritually authentic than the raw, terrifying sovereignty of past legends. The debate violently shifted from comparing stats to judging souls, purity versus project management. The 24/7 sports media machine, eternally hungry for combustible content, gorged itself on the controversy for weeks. No talk show segment, podcast, or debate panel was complete without dissecting the fake GOAT claim. Network producers hauled in retired stars and analysts, forcing them to publicly choose sides, defend LeBron's modern holistic genius, or champion the old-school virtue of standalone ruthless dominance. The phrase became an inescapable lens, reframing every past LeBron narrative, his finals losses, his super team formations, his business acumen, not as chapters in a story, but as evidence in a trial over the soul of greatness itself. Most critically, this sustained firefight achieved what few critics ever have. It placed a permanent crack in the monolith on LeBron's legacy. Before, the debate was about scale, LeBron's mountain of achievements versus Jordan's perfect peak. McGrady introduced a question of quality. He successfully injected a seed of philosophical doubt.
That I've been a part of two teams that's won the two hardest championships in NBA league history. The 2016 Cavs coming back from 3-1 versus 73-19, being down 3-1 versus one of the best teams that ever been assembled.
Two-time MVP.
Two-time MVP. And then what we went through in the bubble. And if you were not in a bubble, you don't quite understand it. You were never.
You were the first player in NBA history to get 200 steals and 100 blocks in the same season. Then you did it again. I think that may be the crowning jewel for you.
The firestorm ignited by Tracy McGrady will eventually subside. Hot takes will cool, hashtags will fade, and the news cycle will lurch toward its next fixation. But what the Hall of Famer leaves in his wake is not a settled score, but a profound, echoing, and perhaps unanswerable question that now hangs permanently over LeBron James's career and the entire GOAT debate. What, in the end, is the true measure of greatness? McGrady's fake GOAT claim has successfully bifurcated the concept. He's forced the basketball world to choose, consciously or not, which version it values more. Is it the sovereign, the raw, terrifying, and pure force of nature, whose dominance is an act of individual will so overwhelming it bends the league itself to its purpose? This greatness is about peak, aura, and the uncompromising conquest of one's environment. It is mythic, shorter, and leaves a legacy of awestruck fear in its wake. Its throne is built on a mountain of defeated rivals and transformed franchises, won through a war of attrition against the world. Or is it the architect, the brilliant, enduring genius whose dominance is a project of mind and body spanning decades? This greatness is about scope, longevity, intelligence, and the power to build systems, both on the court and off it. It is monumental, sustained, and leaves a legacy of influenced generations, rewritten record books, and a blueprint for future power. Its throne is built in the boardroom as much as the arena, forged through strategic alliances and masterful long-term planning. LeBron James is the ultimate argument for the architect. His career is the most compelling case ever made for that definition of greatness. Yet, by launching his attack, Tracy McGrady has exposed a haunting vulnerability in that legacy. He's given voice to the sentiment that there is a sacred, almost spiritual tier at the very pinnacle of sports, a tier reserved not for the most accomplished, but for the most dominant, in the most visceral, untamed sense. And by the old world rules of that tier, the very strategic brilliance that defines LeBron's career can be framed as a disqualifying compromise. There will be no final verdict. The debate is now eternal and fundamentally philosophical. McGrady didn't end the GOAT conversation, he split it into two parallel tracks that may never again converge. One track measures the mountain, the other worships the lightning bolt that once terrifyingly split the sky. And from this day forward, every argument for LeBron James as the greatest will have to first answer which track it's even traveling on. The fake GOAT claim is the question mark etched forever beside his name, ensuring that his true legacy will be debated not just for what he did, but for how he chose to do it. So, where